So the entitlement thing, what I was thinking about, because I just read a DM that somebody sent me. So anyways, this kid went on, he watched my podcast, Stop Crying Poser. Then he sends me an Instagram DM, and I was like, dude, like, you're acting like a middle-aged woman. Like, well, he said my podcast annoyed him. Am I the only one who thinks that that's fucking batshit crazy? Like, you went really far out of your way. You know, you watched the YouTube video, then you went on Instagram, then you sent me the Instagram DM to tell me that you were annoyed. Does anyone else think that that's just, like, insane? And I wrote to him, I was like, listen, man, if you don't like the podcast, don't fucking listen to it. That's fine. Don't listen to it. Like, there's really no reason for you to not like it. Then go on Instagram, then talk to me as if, like, it's my life purpose to try to not annoy you. Like, it's my job to keep this guy happy. And it's so crazy that people become entitled like that. Like, it's my job. And when did it become my job to do that? I feel like it's your job, or if you don't like something, get away from it. Stop it. You know what I mean? Close your eyes. Plug your ears. You don't have to watch my fucking podcast. And I told him, I was like, dude, well, I said, you're acting like a fucking woman, dude. Like, you know, like a middle-aged woman in, like, Walmart customer service talking about, like, my fucking chair where I sat in it too, and it was too soft, and I need to see a manager. Ma'am, you sat in the chair when you bought it. I need to see a manager. Man, we'll just refund the money. I don't care. I need to still see the manager to tell him how annoyed I was. And at some point, I say to myself, I'm like, what are you achieving out of this situation? Like, even in the Walmart situation, what do you achieve? Because you could just get your refund, right? You could just get your refund and go on with your life, but you still need to get your fucking validation because you feel entitled to be listened to. And it's just like, dude, I see that in these kids sending me DMs. He went out of his way to tell me that the podcast annoyed him. And it's just like, dude, what are you fucking are you the center of the universe and it's everyone's job to cater to, like, exactly how you feel? And I was like, don't fucking listen to it. My show was never made for people like you. Literally in the title it says Stop Crying Poser. I said, this shit is not made for pansies or whatever. And he's like, oh, so you're going to be sexist too? And I'm just like, dude, what this is what we've created, right? Like, this is what we've created. Like, that's the meanest thing he could say. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're fucking sexist too? And it's like, fucking what? I just said you're acting like a woman. You know, if you hate women and you're offended by that, then yeah, you're fucking sexist, not me. You're literally acting the way a woman acts. Women act like that. Not a lot of middle-aged men in Walmart complaining about their fucking fishing pole. More often than not, it's a chick complaining about something that did exactly what it was supposed to do, but she feels the need to be heard. I told him, I was like, bro, do you do this in your life? Like, do you, like, if you go to Outback Steakhouse and you asked for medium rare and you got a medium, but you don't, you could just not eat the steak and say, hey, listen, man, I didn't like the steak, can you bring it back? But instead, no. You go home and then you and then you find the server on Instagram. You find that Outback Steakhouse employee and you find him on Instagram, and then you let him know via a DM that he annoyed you. Is that how this guy lives his life? Is that how a lot of people live their lives? I mean, of course no one would admit to it, but I would feel like at least halfway through that analogy you'd say, oh, I am that person. I am a fucking loser. What the fuck am I doing? And my point, the whole point is, what do you get out of this? Sending the DM, what do you get out of it? Because you're not going to, you're not going to save the world, right? Like, the world's not saved. I'm not going to stop my podcast because one guy was annoyed. Like, what do you want to get out of this? And I think it's just validation. I think it's, part of it's like, well, I wanted him to respond, and now you got my attention, mission accomplished, cool. But are you going to, like what? How are you going to undo your complaint? You know what I mean? Like, Like for the Outback Steakhouse one, the guy from Outback isn't going to go back to Outback the next day, remake you a steak, and deliver it to your house because you're the center of the universe. In the same way that I'm not going to change my entire podcast format because one guy was, quote, annoyed. It's so crazy to me. And then there's like this weird pity feeling too. It's like that poor person, someone or something or society made that person like it's like a weak person, right? It's like when you see somebody who has AIDS and you're like, wow, that guy's gonna die soon. His life is so shitty. And you go, man, that's really unfortunate. Or when you see like a small kid with cancer and they have like a bald head and they look weak and shit, and you're like, man, that poor child. That's the type of feeling, maybe not pity, but it's something. Someone can probably let me know in the chat what the emotion is. But I get that feeling when I see these people that are so fucking weak and like and like vulnerable to things as harmless as a YouTube podcast. You know what I mean? And of course, if that kid was here to defend himself, he would say, well, my feelings weren't hurt. My feelings weren't hurt, dude. I just thought you should know. No. Save it. You don't have to tell me that your feelings weren't hurt. What really happened is you took action. Your actions are going to speak louder than your words, okay? You can say that you weren't hurt, but I did something, that influenced you to change what you were going to do that day, right? You were just going to go on with your day, but no. I forced you against your will, because if this kid had control of his thoughts and his feelings, he would be able to just go on with his life, right? He would be able to just go on with his life. I didn't like that podcast. I think I'll quit watching it. I think I'll hit pause. I'll change the window. I wrote on Twitter today, there is something like 300 hours of footage is uploaded to YouTube every single minute. So you're not watching my podcast because there's nothing else on, right? You're not watching my podcast because you couldn't find anything else interesting. There's plenty of other interesting things. And it's just bonkers to me. I don't understand it. One of the things I wrote in the DM, I was like, hey, it's fine. You don't like the podcast. One thing that I feel like I'm good at is weeding out the people that I don't want on my team. And when I say my team, I mean you guys. I mean the viewers. I mean the followers. I'm pretty good at, testing you guys to make sure that you can handle the humor, you can handle the content, you can handle the jokes. Because a lot of people can't handle the jokes. And this whole situation is an example of someone cracking, right? They've cracked so much that they've decided they have to take action via a DM. And again, what's the end game? What does that guy get out of it? You could argue that, oh, well, you changed what you were going to do that day too. You dedicated an entire little section of your live stream to this. I didn't actually change what I was going to do. I live stream like this 3 to 4 days a week, and we always have something interesting to talk about. So my life has not changed at all. In fact, I don't remember the dude's name. That's how little it affects me. I also get a kick out of when people online, they try to insult you, and I think people online, especially really weak people, the way that they perceive humans, they think that all humans are like them. And something interesting about me is a little internet comment or a DM or like a mean comment on a picture. It doesn't actually hurt me. It doesn't actually offend me, which is why I've sort of made a living out of kind of being controversial, because none of that shit can hurt me. Maybe I'm just a magical, strong beast, or maybe I'm just a logical person that I realize that these little words and shit, they don't do anything. But other people, they say, oh, I'm going to say a bunch of mean shit to him. That'll show him. And it's like, no, that shit works on you guys. That shit works on you guys. That's why you think it'll work on me, because you think we're all the same. But we're not all the same. Not at all. I think for myself, I can think a little bit more logically. And when I see a video I don't like, I just exit out and go on with my life. I don't feel the need to speak to the manager and give him a piece of my mind. So that's the end of the rant. In fact, I think I might just upload that on YouTube, because I think we covered everything really I think we covered all the bases of my thought process on why these people are like that. And that's why. That's why I named the podcast Stop Crying Poser. We talk about it all the time, the pussification of society, and it's so crazy to me that, like, we talk a lot about cyberbullying, and one of the big memes and one of the funniest jokes I've ever seen, I don't remember who said it, but they were like, okay, cyberbullying? Really? Someone's bullying you on the internet? Now I get it. If you're really young and impressionable, sure, that can affect you a little bit. But it's also kind of like cyberbullying. Like, bullying to me is kind of like, has to be painful in some way, right? Like, you're getting punched, or you're getting your pants pulled over your head, or you're getting shoved in a toilet, or something like that, right? Or people are spreading rumors about you and shit like that. Like, that would be bullying. On the internet, you can just close your eyes. You can just minimize the window. You can escape. You can escape this thing. But everyone wants to be a victim. It gives people these weird, like, victim bonus money that they can spend on Facebook, because the more of a victim you are, the more, I guess, gratification you feel like you're entitled to, which is part of the reason why the first thing that this kid said when I wrote the DM back, I was like, hey, dude, you're acting like a female. First thing he did was try to find a way to victimize himself, which is funny because he said I was sexist against women, but he's not a woman, but he will still ingest that as him being a victim. Oh, I may not be a woman, but I also experienced sexism against women, and Ninja Lifestyle should be ashamed of that. I can't stand it. Listen, dude, you're fine, okay? You don't even need a real-life Band-Aid. All you need is to you need a metaphorical Band-Aid on your fucking brain and your weak, thin skin. And I think I've just summed up, like, one of my biggest pet peeves about society is that it used to be, I feel like, there was, like, strength in being a strong person. And, of course, everyone has feelings, but there was strength in that. Now, there's strength in being the most offended and the weakest person, and whoever needs to see the manager the worst. I really need to see the manager. I really need to send a DM about this. So, that's going to be it. I'm recording this live on Twitch, so if you guys are not following me on Twitch, please do. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is going on YouTube. For anyone watching live who doesn't know what's going on, let me know your thoughts. If there's anything I'm out of line about, but I've thought about this a lot, you know? And everything is so logical that I feel like my logic here is unbreakable. So, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Kuna Matata, bitches.